Mm. Who ought we call first? Hello, my name is Sean Schwartz.
Hi, Sean. How are you?
I'm not well at all.
What's going on?
I'm abused everywhere I go, and law enforcement refuses to do their job anywhere I go. I don't do drugs, but they just pretend I'm on drugs, pretend that I'm schizophrenic, and they get to do whatever they want. I've tried to turn in the officers here for threats, harassment, and intimidation over multiple people that have harmed me in this town. And telling literally bullying a disabled homeless man into moving because you don't want to do your job as a mandated reporter is a pretty screwed up thing. I've been sent around in circles to every mandated reporter in this town for them to play word games and head games with me the whole time. Now, I have to be afraid to call 911. I have to be afraid to call the cops because the cops are my primary predators in this town. I have to live on a fixed income. I have to live on $822 a month. I'm disabled and I can't work. I also can't protect myself. I can't defend myself. I don't have any friends or family members, and I never did. I've got relatives that are strung out on drugs and people out on the streets who are strung out on drugs, people I know in houses who are strung out on drugs. Everybody that I know who's sober basically ignores me. I have Tourette syndrome. So when I'm scared, I have to have a friend or family member there to explain, hey, he's not on drugs, he's scared. He's just been assaulted, he's going to wink weird. I have to worry about getting shot. I know that statistically, the most likely people for police to shoot are the disabled, the homeless, and men. Like I can't just keep taking this abuse, and I can't keep being forced to run around in circles for them to literally do nothing about any single crime that's been done to me. For them to tell me that it's not their job, that it's a mental health job. Mental health says it's not their job. It's just a racket. Meanwhile, they sent me up on appointment after appointment after appointment for therapy, knowing that I don't have any friends or family members. They're just using us to make profit. Meanwhile, I've recorded all of it, so I have evidence of everything. I get assaulted all the time here, and that happens anywhere I go because of the death of a woman named Natalie Bollinger. And I've got repeatedly with both witnesses as well as the people who have assaulted me. These officers are running around trying to pretend I'm wanted for murder in Colorado, that I'm touching little kids. I've never been charged with any such thing. And for them to run around telling people things like that, that's literally what people are screaming at me when they're assaulting me, when they're threatening to kill me, when they're making a big scene and trying to enlist other people into hurting me.
Hold on, 911. What's the address? Sorry, it popped up. Keep going.
Anyway, I didn't realize you were at the 911 dispatch center.
No, that I was downloading one of the recordings.
Okay.
Yes.
I have a lot of electronic evidence, but because of my disabilities and much of that being poverty and being stuck on the streets, I don't have very good electronics abilities. Also, with police officers nationwide trying to play on this, there's an officer named Waylon Lolatai in Boulder. After my best friend was killed, he tried assaulting me, and they literally did everything that they could to make sure that the body cameras stayed out of court. They eventually had to drop the charges against me because I wasn't gonna fall for that. That evidence is important. They assaulted me to try to frame me for a murder, and it didn't work. Now I had to go back to Boulder Police Department repeatedly after that, and I know this seems unimportant, but I am literally assaulted everywhere that I go. The only people that interact with me on a daily basis or come up to me are drug addicts. I've got literally over 100 recordings on my YouTube channel just in this town of drug addicts either coming up to me to give me drugs or to ask me for drugs. I don't do those things. I've also got known drug addicts and drug users. There's one named Andrew Wolnez, and He's assaulted me and my vehicle repeatedly. I have to be afraid to talk to the police alone because of the way that they have interacted with me in the past when I've tried to turn in crimes against me. I literally can't take care of myself. I'm stuck on the streets, but nobody should be forced to have to literally move to Tillamook, Oregon to be able to stop crimes in Tillamook, Oregon from happening to them. Like, if crimes committed against you while you're on vacation, would you hope that the police would do their job instead of telling you that you have to move to Florida in order to turn in crimes in Florida? That your rights as a disabled person don't exist because you're not in the right state. Like, the biggest worry that I have is that, all of these officers and all of the services that I've been sent to, they all tell me it's not their job, send me around in circles. And many of the people at these services tell me that officers are their friends and they'll call their officer friend and ask what they're supposed to do. Like, hey, these are all mandated reporters. This is a no-brainer for them to do their job. If I'm being abused and I go in alone, they're not going to focus on literally any of the abuse that I'm trying to tell them about. What they're going to do is they're going to ask those two trick questions. Number one, are you thinking about hurting yourself? Now, obviously, if you are going through long-term abuse and you're recording it and you're also having to deal with that abuse from officers and you're recording that too and nobody's going to listen to it, yeah, you're going to want your life to end. Nobody should have to endure this. Not one person on the planet. I don't care who they are. This is inhumane. Now, they ask you if you're suicidal. Well, you can't say yes, or they will lock you up for being suicidal, call you mentally ill, and you can literally do nothing to turn in your predator at that point. You've got the tag of mentally ill. Then the second thing they ask you, do you want to hurt other people? These people are harming me. They're assaulting me. They're threatening to kill me. They're threatening to kill my family. They're doing all sorts of horrible stuff. They're recorded doing it, and still nobody cares. So that second question, are you thinking about harming others? Well, if people are threatening to kill your family, everyone is going to think about harming others. But I don't try to hurt others. I try to contact the people that I'm told to contact and turn in these crimes. Instead, they grill me and try to make me out to be a criminal or a mentally ill moron. I've got an IQ of 172, for Christ's sake. I've also got PTSD, which means that it's easy to overwhelm me until I can't function, which is where I've been at for the last 7 years. I hurt my back, and it's been nonstop abuse for that. I jump through all the hoops that I'm supposed to go through. I get zero help. I finally get somebody to help me. We're able to get me disability and get me into housing. And the person that I'm supposed to go to about the repeated ongoing abuse by the Bollingers and their friends and family, still nobody will do anything about it. I'm like, hey, you told me if I get disability, I jump through all of these hoops as an autistic person and somebody with PTSD to jump through these hoops, then cops are going to have to do their jobs. They'll have to do it. Well, they're not doing it. I jumped through all of those hoops and the cops still wouldn't do their jobs. Still, every time I would tell them, hey, people are hurting me, all they were interested in is locking me up. They showed this by showing that they only cared if I want to harm myself or others. How about you find out why? If somebody's suicidal, find out why. Don't interrupt them while they're telling you why to try to discredit them right away. And that's the problem, is I have no friends or family members to go in with me. I've got literally hundreds of witnesses to these crimes that the cops literally never tried talking to. They will only listen to people who are predatory towards me, and they have established a pattern for this. Now, Waylon Lolatai, he's the officer that assaulted me in Colorado. I was charged with assault against a police officer. They had to drop the charges. But they didn't drop the charges until I'd been assaulted at Clearview. You should look up Clearview Behavioral Health, Johnstown, Colorado. They're literally taking people the cops don't want to deal with and just injecting them with drugs for trying to turn in what's going on there. They shut down Clearview Behavioral Health. They reopened it under different business ownership, but the same people are working there, and they just killed another man. Meanwhile, Officer Waylon Lolotai, WAYLONLOLOTAI, I don't have the money to defend myself against that kind of stuff. So even though they dropped the charges, it's still on my arrest record, and every single police officer sees that. They play runaround with me. They play hot potato with me. It's nobody's job. It's nobody's job. Mental health sends me to the cops. The cops send me to mental health. I'm told I got to turn in the cops to the cops, but they bully me for trying, especially Officer Tony Lothman. I'm told to call 911 by every single one of these other agencies if there's an emergency, but the Tillamook Police Department is crooked. I tried going to Ray Rao. He wasn't going to do a thing about his officers either. They refused to call me back. Meanwhile, I keep having predators that want to give out my phone number, so I get repeated harassment calls on my phone over and over and over again over the death of Natalie Bollinger. They found the guy who killed her. He's in prison. But you know what? That doesn't matter because there's slander against my name that I was never allowed to defend myself against. My predators called me mentally ill and everybody just assumed my guilt. Meanwhile, I have a penis. So people just want to assume my guilt anyway. I can't handle this bias and I can't continue taking abuse. Just because I was born with a penis doesn't make that okay. The bias by the police towards the homeless, the disabled, and men makes it impossible for us to go to the police safely. And then 911 just wanted to play stupid with me. Like, no, if there's a conflict of interest and I'm being sent to 911, someone needs to do something about that conflict of interest. Not just ignore it and send me back to the same people who won't do their jobs again and again. I got to go pay a fine, but I need to find somebody that'll go in with me to pay the fine because I am scared shitless of those people. And thank you very much for not acting like me being overwhelmed right now is in any way, shape, or form me yelling at you. I am obviously frustrated at the situation. I mean, that Andrew Wolnez feller kicked in my car yesterday, day before yesterday now. I waited all day yesterday for somebody to hopefully go in with me. And I do this all the time. People don't keep their words to us. It's just a pipe dream. When people promise they'll go in with us, we have to wait weeks for it. Then we're treated like we're horrible people, like we didn't try turning it in the beginning and got blown off by police anyway. I haven't been able to go to the police about Andrew Wolnez because they charged me as a criminal for calling 911. And yes, I cursed. Yes, I acted the way that people act towards me all the time.
Okay.
So the situation in Colorado, I to this day have been denied every single right that I have as a human being under the auspices of me being mentally ill. That's not okay. The term mentally ill is used by all of these people to discredit their victim by insinuating that we're schizophrenic and violent, and that's not the case. I'm tired of getting beaten up by people, especially the police. When I try to turn in crimes against me, I'm sent into circles. Nobody knows whose job it is. Magically, it's nobody's job to investigate crimes against at-risk adults. Then they all want to send me to a place who refused to look at anything and bullied me and dismissed me because they're friends with the cops here. Now, I'm sure you live here. You know it's a small town. You know that CARE and all these other places, they all know each other. They work closely with each other. When I need them to do their jobs as mandated reporters, they don't even try. And that's the problem. They all broke the law. How am I supposed to trust these people and go back to them again and again and again when all they're doing is breaking the law?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, the case I have with you involves 6 counts of improper use of 911.
It's not improper use of 911. I was trying to call to get help, and every time that I'd called before, they'd blow me off, brush me off, and completely disregarded the safety issues inherent with their officers.
I'm just telling you, that's the charges.
I'm aware that those are the charges. I've actually received a copy of that, although I live in a car and I can't take care of myself. I can barely move most days. I can barely walk most of the time.
And part of why they charged that, I think, is that apparently he called 6 times and shorter than a 15-minute time span and didn't try and report any type of emergency.
That's not the case. They kept on talking over me and wouldn't allow me to report the emergency. You need to requisition those tapes and listen to them and explain that there are literally hundreds more.
I haven't listened to them yet, but I have them.
Yes, sir. I'd like copies of them as well, although I do have it on my YouTube channel as well. I recorded them myself.
What's your YouTube channel?
It's Sean David. I've got literally just 2 nights ago people with guns beating up on each other. This is a scary situation for somebody who is a disabled and at-risk adult to be in. No, I'm no dunce and I'm no slouch. I grew up in the system when I was a kid, and I've pretty well been on the streets as an adult because my family, they're no good. They're drug addicts. All they do is take advantage of each other. I don't have friends or family that I can go to for help. I never have. Just fair weather friends, mostly drug addicts who basically just accept me because they know I'm not going to steal their drugs. But I get taken advantage of them all the time. And I've called Northwest Senior and Disability Services, Adult Protective Services, everybody that I'm supposed to, but without a friend or family member to make those calls with me, all of those places break the law. All right, Andrew Wolnez just went by fucking talking shit just now. I'm sick of this, sir. I'm sick of it.
All right. Well, let's see if we can set up a time to meet. Are you staying in Tillamook or?
I'm stuck here, sir. I don't have the money to live on, let alone move anywhere.
I thought you got disability.
You think that's enough to live on? You think $800 a month is enough to live on?
Well, is it SSI or is it SSD?
It's a Social Security disability.
All right, it's not SSI because that's way less than disability. Disability usually pays better.
Well, that's the thing, is that I've been literally, I have nonstop crimes committed against me, and I'm treated like I chose for those crimes to happen, like I choose to be stuck in these environments, like I choose to be lied to, like I choose for police to take advantage of me.
All right, give me a sec here.
I've recorded a lot of crimes against me. When I try to turn them into the cops, they send me to mental health, who says they can't look at anything, and they send me back to the cops, who say that I should have called 911 first. Like, I'm sick of this. I'm sick of them going out of their way to literally try to find any excuse why they don't have to do their job after they pawn me off on someone else.
What type of crimes are being committed against you?
Threats, harassment, and a whole lot of assaults. People beating on my vehicle, people beating on me, people trying to destroy my phone and my evidence, people threatening my life, people slandering my name with the intent of having me harmed.
About, I'm going to be gone for the next about week or so. We meet up on the 21st. It's 2 weeks from now.
2 weeks? Sir, by then I'm going to have to kill wolnez to protect myself.
Well, I have nothing to do with that.
Well, the fact that it's got something to do with the case that we're having to deal with here with 911, yeah, this is all the reason that I was calling 911. It's because of repeated threats, harassment, intimidation, and assaults, including by law enforcement. Law enforcement is running around telling people things that are untrue with the intent of having me harmed. And these people are actually coming up to me in public and harming me and streaming these things at me.
Well, yelling at you is not a crime.
Hey, that's not what I'm saying. They're yelling these things at me while they're assaulting me. Assaulting me is most certainly a crime. Assaulting me because some officer lied to you is still a crime. It's still assault.
Assault is a crime, that's for sure. Most speech-related things aren't.
Well, that's the problem here, is that it's not just speech-related stuff, and all of you try to play that card. It's not just speech-related. It's people harming me while yelling that stuff. I know exactly why people are assaulting me, because while they're hitting me, they're screaming it at me. And I get told yelling at someone isn't a crime. Really? I've been arrested for yelling. Yelling certainly is a crime.
In some cases, it can be disorderly conduct.
It's also when people are literally yelling that they're going to kill you. Yeah, that's against the law too.
Sometimes that's medicine. Sometimes it's not. But anyway.
Well, how's it not when I have literally hundreds of people who threaten to kill me? I have a lot of evidence of it. I need to make sure that my safety is taken as a first consideration here.
All right. The scope of my representation, whether or not you violated making improper use of 911, I can give you a list of people who do civil rights violations, which may be what you're looking for if you want to sue the cops.
Sir, these are criminal violations. I'm an at-risk adult who is disabled. I get a check for being disabled.
I get that.
People take advantage of me for my disability money that's not enough to live on. I have to hire drug addicts to help me because I can't physically do things for myself, and I don't exactly have anybody else who's volunteering. Meanwhile, those drug addicts are just going to take advantage of me most of the time. Although it doesn't matter because I still am ordered to have to do all of this stuff, or they pretend that I'm not trying to turn any of these crimes in. I literally can't take care of myself. I can't function as a human being. When I'm being assaulted and 911 is talking over me like I'm an idiot, literally not allowing me to say what I'm supposed to be saying, which is what crimes are happening, because they're too busy bullying me because they don't want to hear it. Yeah, that's not me breaking the law. That's 911 breaking the law. When I'm calling them and I'm telling them about officers having me harmed, officers who are taking drugs and giving them to people in exchange for false confessions and false statements, and having recordings of the people they're giving the drugs to. Yeah, I have those recordings too, of those people saying, yeah, these officers are giving me drugs for me to say this about this person, or they tried to give me drugs to get me to say this about that person. Is it illegal to try to coerce somebody into making a false statement? Yeah, that's illegal too. My disability money isn't enough to live on, and all of my back payments that I was supposed to get, I didn't get to keep any of it because I kept on getting ripped off for all of it. because none of the agencies that are supposed to do their jobs are doing their jobs for disabled adults, especially on the streets. We get blown off like we're not human beings, like the crimes committed against us are somehow magically okay, and they're not. I keep getting public defenders that want to say, oh, well, I have an overwhelming caseload, or, oh, this isn't against the law, that's not against the law. Hey, you know what? Lots of people keep changing their friggin' mind about what's against the law. When I say people are assaulting me while they're streaming this stuff, and you say, oh, well, streaming's not against the law, that right there shows that you're not on my side. You're not going to protect me. You're not going to do your job. You've already made assumptions.
Is to deal with the charges that are against you here.
Sir, they're taking advantage of an at-risk adult. Even taking me to court in this situation without me having a friend or a family member or a parent or a guardian or someone is immoral and illegal. There's more than 6 calls. There's several hundred calls just here in Tillamook where I get treated like I'm mentally ill, blown off, disrespected. And that's why the continued assaults are happening. I'm an at-risk adult. I can't turn that off. I can't turn off people's assumptions of autism, their assumptions of street people, their assumptions of males. The fact that police officers are refusing to do their job over and over and over again and playing word games just like you did. I told you they were assaulting me while streaming these things, and you wanted to completely ignore the assault and say that streaming isn't illegal.
Assault is making sure I get all the recordings that they send me.
Sir, it's harassment and retaliation for trying to turn them in. I've tried to turn them into their own department. I've tried to turn them into state troopers. They all play head games about whose job it is. Same thing with mental health.
All right, so let me get this straight, because I'm trying to make sure I understand where you're coming from there. How long have you been in Tillamook?
Over a year.
All right, what brought you out here?
Fleeing abuse by law enforcement and doing exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
Because of Natalie Bollinger's death, I'm targeted no matter where I go. The general public just makes my life a living hell. The fact that I've never been allowed to defend myself, and public defenders won't defend us. They don't care about what abuse we're going through. If the media needs to be contacted, they're not going to contact the media. Like, we have zero help out here.
Do you understand the role of like a public defender or court-appointed attorney?
Do you understand that that doesn't protect the victim? When we are forced to do desperate things to defend ourselves and protect ourselves, including calling 911, that is a desperate act. Now, the thing is, when I first started coming here, I tried talking to the cops. They broke the law. Now, when I have to call 911, I have to explain to them, hey, I need someone here with me for my safety when I turn this in, and I can't turn it in to the police department here. I cannot do it. All right, it is unsafe for me to do so. So the fact that every single agency tells me to call 911 and 911 sends me right back to the guys who refuse to do the job to begin with. I mean, this is a literally no-win scenario for me. There's nothing that I can do except let them retaliate against me because I am having a mental breakdown from them neglecting their duties. I'm disabled whether they want to do their job or not. I'm harmed because they refuse to do their duty.
What are exactly you trying to get the cops to do?
Well, sir,
I'm just trying to figure that out.
I want the cops now to be arrested for all the crimes they've committed. I've literally been forced to move to Tillamook to try to stop abuse here. Like, I shouldn't have been stuck here this long. But the thing is, everything that I have has been raped from me, ripped from me, stolen from me, or conned out of me. That includes by the services here, telling me to run around in circles and spend a bunch of money when they're not doing their jobs as mandated reporters. I was in an assisted living facility in Nebraska before Natalie Bollinger was killed. Now, all of the abuse that I'm taking is over Natalie Bollinger's death, every last bit of it. These officers refusing to do their job is definitely because of the situation with Natalie Bollinger. Police officers in Colorado pressed false charges against me and they had to drop it. They've done this over 30 times just in Nebraska. Now, at some point, yeah, it's pretty obvious that that's rampant harassment. But what you're not understanding is that I can't take care of myself well enough to even write out a police report because I am constantly looking over my shoulder for the next predator. It's not just a ticket. It's the fact that I'm being abused to the point that I have to treat them that way for them to take it seriously. Your officers here are forcing at-risk adults to go to people who are taking advantage of at-risk adults for profit and slandering our names. This is not okay. This is a very clear safety issue. And this happens across the United States. Nobody wants to do their job for a homeless person. And any excuse is a valid excuse, like ignoring assaults and saying, oh, well, it's not illegal to yell at someone. That is entirely dismissive of the victim, and it doesn't ingrain any sort of trust in us. I've been assaulted several dozen times here. I've gone to cops about it nearly every time.
Okay, have they taken photographs or?
Yes, I've actually video recorded the situations. In many of these cases, there were officers there who were busy trying to deter me or to defer me from turning in somebody who had just assaulted somebody in front of me or assaulted me. And then, of course, after they run me around in circles for 6 months, I got to turn it into their own department. And they say stuff like, oh, well, you should have called 911. Do I have to call 911 if the cops are already there? Meanwhile, I'm told I have to record it. So I make sure I record it. I can't call 911 and record until I get another phone. And I didn't get another phone until like 3-4 months ago. I literally had to go to the next town over to try to safely find a place where I could turn in these crimes. And instead, when I was there, same thing. An officer came in to the place where there were supposed to be services to help me, a place called First Steps. The officer came in, addressed me, said I was wanted for murder in Colorado. And that was not because I was wanted for murder in Colorado. It's because he was trying to make it or paint it out that I was some sort of a dangerous person. So I left there and I never went back. I spoke up about the situation on my YouTube channel, and I definitely recorded what I could. But I wasn't able to record evidence and show what I was trying to show them at the same time. I only had one device to do it on. With all of my money being eaten up by the courts and me not having someone for my safety to protect me from these predators, like the law requires, none of these people are gonna do it. They need to stop sending me in circles to places that aren't going to do their jobs as mandated reporters. When I try to turn in people who are not doing their jobs as mandated reporters, everybody plays stupid. Apparently, out of all these mandated reporters, none of them know who it's supposed to be turned into. Do you understand how scary it is to have to call people who raped you and say, hey, I need you to investigate you raping me? This is a heinous crime. I am an at-risk adult. These are all heinous crimes. And forcing me to try to turn in my predators, literally to those predators by name, is just wrong. Do you have any idea how many times I've been bullied by nearly every officer on Tillamook Police Department? Like, I've got dozens of calls of them doing that. Of them not caring about actual physical assaults against me. About them taking advantage of my disabilities by sending me to mental health and promising me they're going to help me. You know what I needed when these crimes were committed against me? An interview room. I literally can't function while I am having to look over my shoulder for predators. I can send you at least, well, probably close to a dozen assaults against me or my vehicle or my phone just in the last month and a half.
Hey, do you have something related to what happened on September 15th?
Yeah, all of it. I was denied the right to turn in any of this going up to September 15th and afterwards. They're playing hot potato with me. They're sending me around in circles saying it's nobody's job. I can't do these things for myself without a safe environment to do it in. All of these places are supposed to have an interview room for a victim to sit in there and do that in. Now, when somebody needs you to shut up and let them write it down, you need to leave the room and let them do it, instead of grilling them and bullying them and trying to change the subject, which is actually what all these agencies do. I've got recordings at every single agency, all of them doing this, and all of them trying to bully me because they don't want to do their jobs as mandated reporters. Every one of these agencies are mandated reporters. All social services agencies are mandated reporters, and all of them pretend that they're not. I've got recordings with nearly every every agency in this county telling me that it's not their job to do their job as a mandated reporter. Many of them telling me that they're not mandated reporters.
So, do you have developmental disabilities or mental illness?
Mental illness is an insult. Please don't use it.
It's what the statute uses.
Yeah, and that's the problem, is that it's immoral. It's just an insult. If you call somebody that in a courtroom, that's worse than calling someone the N-word. What I have is post-traumatic stress disorder from abuse. I also have diagnoses. I can send you that video too. The problem is, do what?
Like, there's 3 areas in Oregon where there's mandatory reporting. It's child abuse, elder abuse, and adults with developmental disabilities.
It's elderly and disabled, and I have physical disabilities. That's what I got disability for.
I understand that, but the statute is for intellectual and developmental disabilities, not physical.
Yes, and the problem is that the intellectual or developmental disability that I have is autism, and they're using it as an excuse to pretend I'm retarded. Here's the thing, all right? These officers are going to literally force me to kill these predators to stop them. I'm not okay with this. I don't even own a gun.
Well, that's probably a good thing. That might be something you're considering doing.
What, defending myself?
Well, there's a difference between killing anybody is probably not good for any of us.
And that's exactly the point. But when somebody is assaulting me and threatening to kill me, what am I supposed to do? Just take it. That's all I can do.
And who's been assaulting you,
That would be Andrew Wolnez, Robert Farnsworth, although he eventually quit. It's been a whole bunch of threats, harassment, and intimidation, getting up in my face and screaming, the whole calling me a pedophile and crap like that, calling me a murderer. Like, dude, that's inhumane to put someone through that. I have what's called Asperger's, which is a type of autism, and it is considered a developmental disability. But the thing is that these people here aren't trained at all for autism. They should be, but instead they're harming us. They're doing things that you're literally trained not to do to autistic people. And they start doing that antagonistically as soon as they realize you're trying to turn people in with badges. It's illegal to send me to any of these agencies because they're all friends with each other. I've got the recordings from each of these agencies with each of these peoples saying that they've got a cop who's a friend that they'll go talk to. Well, that's not how mandated reporting is supposed to work.
Well, typically you would contact DHS.
Yeah, that's what I did first. They sent me to the cops who were committing crimes.
That's what any type of reporting would contact, but if there's a crime involved, you would report it to law enforcement.
And I tried that, and law enforcement blows me off. That's the problem. Law enforcement blows off all homeless people. Are you not recognizing that part? If the law says that homeless people you don't have to do your job for, is that what the law says?
Not that I'm aware of.
Well, that's their excuse, sure enough. I've recorded multiple situations with the cops here and across the country. Homeless people are treated like trash. And since being made a target by the media, you cannot ignore that or the effects of it on me or the fact that it is physically and mentally taxing for me to be physically and mentally harmed so often. These aren't civil crimes because I am disabled. What makes me at risk, these officers are showing it. It's their bias. They're ignoring the law and going with what they assume. Their assumptions aren't the law. They don't get to change the law based on who it is and go, oh, well, you're less of a human being than this person, so who cares if you were assaulted? I don't have anyone to help me with paperwork, and all of these services that I'm sent to here, same as the places before here, they're harming us. They're literally getting us killed. They're saying it's not their job. It is someone's job. If they have to actually investigate crimes, they have to actually investigate crimes against us too. And they don't and they won't. Like literally, all I can do is kill myself. That's the only thing I can do to try to get help. I was assaulted at the hospital by Stephan L. Stephanides on January 28th for trying to turn in the crimes by the officers here. What do? They make it impossible for disabled people to do it. All it has done is eaten up all of my money, and all of these agencies are getting paid for the time they wasted. I'm not getting compensated for any of mine, and I make $800 a month to live on. I can't do that. I literally can't live on $800 a month. I've got both physical and mental disabilities. Both.
Yeah.
And those are used as an excuse not to do their job, to try to rubber stamp us. Do you even try to understand how immoral this is?
Okay, so as I said before, the scope of my representation is solely on whether or not you violated the statute on improper use of 911.
Sir, if I have to violate a statute to try to get heard because you're not doing your job, I'll do it. Are you going to force me to kill the next person who assaults me? Because I am that afraid. I am that afraid. Do you not understand? I am an at-risk adult. I'm not even supposed to talk to you without a friend or a family member present. But I don't have one.
So,
I can't function as a human being. And I am too afraid of the cops to go to them alone after everything they've done. I am too afraid to call 911. Anything that I am told to do to try to turn in these crimes that are committed against me, I'm treated like I'm a criminal for trying it. And these people cutting out the whole scenario of why it happened is not okay. You cannot expect an at-risk and disabled adult out here to be calm and collected while they're being lied to. There's a difference between wanting to and having to. I don't want to do any of this stuff. I don't want to have a YouTube channel. I don't want to have to go turn in crimes to the cops. I don't want people to commit crimes against me that need turned in. I don't want to be given the runaround about this mentally ill crap and that being used as an excuse for nobody to do their fucking jobs. It's taking advantage of at-risk adults. It's illegal. And I can't turn it in alone. I'll get dusted off, brushed off, and mulled over. Nobody actually cares. And then I've got the anxiety of I'm having this bullshit held over my head. And I have no one to safely go in with me. I've been threatened, harassed, intimidated, laughed at by every service here and recorded it. And then they want to play victim because I recorded them. They want to retaliate against me for recording them. If they'd have not broken the law, I wouldn't have had to record. My defense is that I'm taking abuse and literally nobody listens until I scream and yell. All of these services talk over me like I'm a retard. There's no way in hell you're going to be able to defend me unless you are actually willing to defend me. Not decide whether or not I broke a fucking ordinance. If I have to break your fucking window because your dumbass left your kid in a hot car, I'm going to break your fucking window. And not give a fuck that it's against the law because it's in the operation of saving a life. So it's not against the law.
Sure, you have an emergency doctor in there.
Yeah, and that's the problem, is that no public defender gives a shit. All they try to do is victimize me into taking a plea deal and dragging everything out. The problem here is I'm being abused, and that I have to treat 911 that way. Not one friend or family member has tried helping me turn this in. I have to beg strangers. The services I was sent to that are supposed to help, they pulled the same crap.
You were sent to.
Do what?
I said you were sent to.
Let me close my door. There's traffic driving by. Try that again.
Who were you sent to?
I was sent to TFCC and TCCHC 211. Like literally, they just sent me around in circles on the mental health circuit for trying to turn in crimes for all these places to say it's not their job. Like, I can't possibly take care of this stuff. Somebody who has PTSD, who is afraid, cannot function. That's just plain and simple. I am afraid because of actual abuse, actual assaults, and I record them on my YouTube channel. And I get the predators think that, well, it's okay to go assaulting people, but it's not. Police at first told me, oh, well, we can't do anything unless you record it. Well, I did record it. They just didn't want to look at it. Then they wanted to send me to a bunch of mental health places that are supposed to help that all say it's not their job. Well, if it's not their job, the cops shouldn't be sending us there. Now, is there an interview room here at the police station?
I couldn't tell you.
They're supposed to have one. They claim that they don't. Actually, they're supposed to have 3 of them. The thing is, I have not broken any laws at all unless people's lives have been at stake. I'm not somebody who goes out there and just goes trying to break the law. I'm not somebody who goes stealing from people. I'm not somebody who runs around assaulting people. I've got over 100 assaults against just me alone on my YouTube channel. And I didn't swing back in a single one of them. Meanwhile, I get assaulted by Officer Waylon Lowtie in Colorado. He pretends that he's the one assaulted. And even though they had to drop the charges, they didn't do it with the intention of keeping charges on me. They did it with the intention of painting to the media that I'm some sort of a violent person. You really should look up Natalie Bollinger's name.
Oh, I did already.
The fact that the people who are harming me keep referencing Colorado. Same thing with the cops running around telling people that I'm wanted for murder in Colorado, that I killed some girl in Colorado.
Yeah, I mean, your name's connected with it, but there's somebody else that pled out. Right?
Joseph Michael Lopez is serving 48 years for it. But that hasn't stopped people from hurting me to this day over it. I literally cannot function as a human being anymore. The fact that I'm able to utilize my powers of speech right now is luck. I have a stuttering problem, which I'm sure you might have picked up on. I do a lot of ums and a lot of uhs and a lot of pausing, and that bothers people. It annoys them, and it makes it so that people are less likely to hear the things I'm saying.
You haven't been stuttering with this conversation. Maybe that you're more fired up, but surprising.
You should see me when I'm scared. Like I practice really hard to just pause when I'm starting to stutter. So if I stop in the middle of a sentence or even in the middle of a word, it's not because I'm, mentally fucked up. It's because I have stuttering issues.
And as I said, I can meet with you, but I can't till about the 21st because I'm going to be out of state for about the next week or so. Let's see here. Where are you staying in Tillamook?
I live in my car. I was staying somewhat at the Tillamook Sporting Goods parking lot, but there's a lot of hate crimes that are committed against me. A lot of people calling me the N-word, throwing stuff in my vehicle, trying to intimidate me into leaving. There's I'd say right about a dozen youth from the youngins that are down there tearing around with their pickup trucks that have taken part in the abuse against me for probably 11 months.
Did they give me my card when you were in court?
Yes, sir. That's how I was able to get your number and call you. I'm not real good with internet stuff, and I also have physical disabilities. My muscles are like jello. I can't carry things. I have degenerative disc disease and my back is screwed up.
All right. Is it possible we can sit down and meet up, or would you have difficulty in my office?
I would definitely make it to your office. I'm just not going to be able to guarantee that I won't be victimized between now and then.
There's
Matter
not
of
much I
fact, I
can
can guarantee I will be.
do about that at this point, unfortunately. All right.
Sir, I have to have a parent or a guardian or an advocate. Those have to be appointed to me. Something has to be appointed to me. I cannot defend myself. I cannot protect myself. I cannot make the police do their mandated job to actually do something about our safety. The police have repeatedly bullied me, and I'm told that I got to go back to those police officers. That's immoral. It's also illegal. So I can meet you on the 21st.
All right. How about 2 o'clock?
21st at 2 o'clock? Yes, sir.
Do you want my address, or do you have it there?
It's on the card. Is it the 4th Street address?
That's correct.
All right. I've got a pen ready.
All right. It's 1912 4th Street, 2 p.m.
Yes, sir.
You have my phone number, obviously.
Sir, I've been given immoral and illegal and outright lies about legal advice from a whole bunch of agencies that later on told me they're not allowed to give legal advice when I ask them who I'm supposed to turn them into.
That sounds about right. All right. I will see you then. I'll have the full copy and everything for you, all right?
Yes, sir.
We'll go from
I want to thank you for actually putting up with me. I'm not going to ask you to affirmative or negative, but it seems to me you probably have a neurodivergent child or neurodivergent family member or someone close to you who's.
I don't. I'm just super patient.
I used to be until it got people killed.
Yeah, no, and I can understand that. So that's part of it. Okay, I will see you on the 21st. That should give me enough time to go through and listen to all the 911 games, all right?
Yes, sir. Well, that's not going to be even close to all of them. It'll just be the selection they want to show you. But
well,
yes, sir.
The focus on this is September 15th, and then we'll sort of go from there, all right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Have a good day and stay safe, all right?
I don't have that possibility. I'm harmed every day. But I get the saying. Thank you. You stay safe and enjoy your trip out of state.
All right. Talk to you later.
Bye. See, the problem is that they're not observing my rights as a disabled person. They're not observing my rights as an intelligent person. What they're doing is allowing people to harm me until I can't function, and then pretending that I just don't want to. They're telling me to run around and spend all of my resources going around in circles. This is fucking horse shit. Someone calling themselves Lankainado typed hi. Aloha. I record everything publicly because I try. Y'all keep telling me how to do this stuff. It doesn't matter when you make me go in alone.